Hello. I think this is a record for me. I think this is maybe 4 days in a row, maybe just 3 days in a row, but it's a lot of days in a row for me. So I want to get the book read. How are you? As Jeffree Star says, hi, how are you? I think he says something else there. It seems like there's 3 in there, but I don't have a star wand and I need to get one. But I don't want to be a copycat. I did something really fun today. I reached out yesterday, I think it was yesterday or Saturday, to a live viewer who told me that her class in Chicago, the Chicago area, I'm going to call her Liv, but I don't remember if that's the name she used when she came on. Hey, Fareed, you got my message on Discord then. And she told me they were all reading A Thousand Splendid Suns together as a class with the pandemic. And I said, Yasvani. And I said to her, well, contact your teacher. And if if it turns out he was a he, but if your teacher would like, I'll come on chat with you guys and have a live class time. Well, I got to do that today. All of a sudden at work, she's like, can you come on right now? And I was terrible at, Google Meets. I didn't have, thank you, Elle. You have a nice day too. It's freezing. It's not probably cold as where y'all are, but for Baton Rouge, it's cold. Anyways, it was so much fun to be in a classroom again and to talk about, theme questions and see what young people what's their takeaway from class. So it was really a fun, a lot of regulars lately. Hi, Maniba, it's good to see you. We were just saying in Discord that we're getting more and more following of people from India. And I'm excited about that because India's high population. You guys, they're probably all locked in with the pandemic. So you have nothing else to do but listen to this crazy old lady read books. But I'm glad you do. Vivi Izzy, you don't understand this book or A Thousand Splendid Suns? Okay, Vivi Izzy, it says you asked me to add you to Discord. You can go back to some of our other Pride and Prejudice. If you've subscribed, you can go back and find other Pride and Prejudice in the playlist. And the Discord link will be posted below. Or if Sid comes on, he can post it for us in the live link. But if not, I'll make sure I put it in with today's read along. I'll send you an invitation. I mean, it's best tutor friend, but I don't think you can find it that way. I think you have to have the invitation. So many people. I'm reading all this. I'm not going to say Mr. Bussey's name because it will come out inappropriate. Santiago, what's up? Argentina. My best friend in college was from Argentina's Buenos Aires. She's who taught me about dulce de leche. Delicious. Love Pride and Prejudice is the book you love? No, I don't ever collect money for anything at this point. I probably should, and then I could stop working. I could give more time to all of this, but I started this as a teacher, and it's from my heart. It's my hobby. I also think if I make y'all pay, I need to do a better job of what I do, and I'm too lazy to try and do better. So it's free. Everything I do is free. I didn't expect you to go live. I don't usually go. I don't, Fareed. I came in from work. I've got something happening later, and I'm like, I want to get this book read. Come on, you got it, Rachel. Get on there. Miranda said, I finished reading and listened to Gatsby. That book was not my favorite book to read, but after teaching it so many years, I came to love teaching it. The themes and all are so interesting. And I changed my take on the book over years of reading it and teaching it. Miranda, that's so kind. I love you too. Santiago, do you like mojitas? Well, now my son lives in Brazil, so I like caipirinhas. Do you know what those are? You have to have, I can't ever say this, and they laugh at me all the time. Cachaça? I can't ever say it. It's an alcohol unique to Brazil. Um, you passed your pre-AP course at your high school, Math Pack. That's awesome. Pre-AP. So what book would you have been reading for pre-AP? I'm curious about that. Muniba really got into the characters. Jane was my favorite. She's so resilient. That's an interesting observation, Muniba. Everybody always likes Elizabeth, and Jane's kind of one-dimensional but resilient. I mean, I never thought about that, but she really is. She always takes whatever comes at her, and she's accepting of it and says it's okay. And maybe I misread that situation. Maybe it was more on me. Yosvani, don't worry about it. I'm busy tomorrow. I will stay if you're not busy tomorrow. Okay. Well, don't ever feel guilty, guys. I mean, once it's recorded, you can always come back and watch. But I love when you come in and tell me hello. That's so sweet. The Book Thief. I'm reading The Outliers. Later will be Romeo and Juliet. Great. I don't have Romeo and Juliet on my playlist, but I used to teach it. So I've read The Book Thief and The Outsiders or The Outliers, because there was a book called The Outsiders. So I'm not sure which one it is. All right. Well, we're 6 minutes in. Let's read, because I want to find out what happens. I know what happens, but I want to find out new. Dracula and Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde are both really good books. I have Frankenstein on my playlist, but that's the only one of the kind of scary of that series that I have. Outliers. I did The Outsiders a long time ago. Malcolm Gladwell. Yes, that's right. But I have not read that one. You know, when you start listing all the books, and I was going to hold up as a visual and ASMR, this cool, isn't this a beautiful book? This is out of my father's collection. He's got a whole set of these. I don't remember. Oh, now I just took my glasses off so I can't read. I don't remember. It's the programmed classics. This is the War and Peace book that I've been reading. You can see it is so thick and the pages are so plein in French, so plentiful of words. And I use my Betsy Johnson earring clipboard for my bookmark. But it is a beautiful, here's your ASMR. It's got a different sound. You hear the weight of it. It's a beautiful book. Hey, Sid, would you do us a favor? We have a Discord request. And I said, if Sid comes on, he'll do it for us. Can you put the link for Discord up when you have a chance? Great Gatsby is typically grade 11. In the South anyway, grade 11 is American literature. So, and Great Gatsby is the great American Dream book. So who said they were reading Great Gatsby? We'd have to go back and see. I don't know. A Separate Piece, that is on my playlist. A Separate Piece is a coming of age story. It's two boys that are in a dorm, like what do you call that kind of school where you live there? It's a school where you live there, but there's a word for that. And thank you, Sid, you're the best. And this one boy's kind of jealous because this other boy is always perfect at everything. And it's also about the World War II breaking out and a tree. I don't think I made it very compelling. It's not my favorite book. Beautifully written, but very wordy. And boarding school. Thank you. I just was having a moment. A boarding school. And, you know, his own inner jealousy drove him to rage and to do something terrible. And then the guilt that he felt with it. And I mean, it's kind of exploring war. It's exploring leaving childhood and coming into adulthood and all the things that go with that. I mean, it's an important book, and the story and the moral are both really good, but there's just a lot of detail that's not necessary. That just makes you just have to love words to enjoy the book. And you'll see as I read, I'm like, I can't read anymore. Let's just skip this paragraph, you know? But it is a really good read. I mean, it's a good thing to know. It's good to have in your lexicon of books that you've read. All right. Sid, I think I got it right this time. It's 57. It's LV I. And it is page 339. Let's read. Because I'm 10 minutes in now. Don't you love what Google does on the TV behind us? The discomposure of spirits, which this extraordinary visit threw Elizabeth into, could not. Now, remember, Lady Catherine de Bourgh was just there. Then you'll like it, Matt Pack. Lady Catherine de Bourgh had just come and said, "You can't marry my nephew." And Elizabeth's like, he didn't, I'm planning on it, but you can't tell me what to do. And they had a big confrontation. Lady Catherine, it appeared, had actually taken the trouble of this journey from Rosings for the sole purpose of breaking off her supposed engagement with Mr. Darcy. It was a rational scheme, to be sure, but from what the report of their engagement could originate, Elizabeth was at a loss to imagine, till she recollected that his being the intimate friend of Bingley and her being the sister of Jane was enough at a time when the expectation of one wedding made everybody eager for another. To supply the idea, she had not herself forgotten to feel the marriage of her sister must bring them more frequently together. And her neighbors at Lucas Lodge, therefore, for through their communication with the Collinses, the report she concluded had reached Lady Catherine, had only set that down as almost certain and immediate, which she had looked forward to as possible at some future time. In revolving Lady Catherine's expressions, however, she could not help feeling some uneasiness as to the possible consequence of her persisting in this interference. From what she had said of her resolution to prevent their marriage, it occurred to Elizabeth that she must meditate an application to her nephew and how he might take a similar representation of the evils attached to a connection with her she dared not pronounce. She knew not the exact degree of his affection for his aunt or his dependence on her judgment, but it was natural to suppose that he thought much higher of her ladyship than she could do. And it was certain that in enumerating the miseries of a marriage with one whose immediate connections were so unequal to his own, his aunt would address him on his weakest side. With his notions of dignity, he would probably feel the arguments, which to Elizabeth had appeared weak and ridiculous, contained much good sense and solid reasoning. She's there rationalizing again that she probably isn't a good fit for him. Everything Lady Catherine de Bourgh said is probably right. And he's probably, if she's had the same conversation with him, Lady Catherine de Bourgh had with him, Mr. Darcy, that Lady Catherine de Bourgh had with Elizabeth, that he'll probably, she's lost any chance of getting to marry him. If he had been wavering before as to what he should do, which had often seemed likely, the advice and entreaty of so near a relation might settle every doubt and determine him at once to be as happy as dignity unblemished could make him. In that case, he would return no more. Hey, Kelly. Yes, War and Peace is so thick. It's going to take me a year to read it because I only read like 20 minutes every couple days. So you will see this book again. It won't be the last time you see it. Why do you hate her, Sid? Just because she's such a busybody? I think she is symbolic of the noble class, right? She's the metaphor for the noble class of the time. And so maybe we should hate her because they always think they're better than everybody else and they control everybody else. And that's that Pride and Prejudice part. In that case, he would return no more. Lady Catherine might see him in her way through town, and his engagement to Bingley of coming again to Netherfield must give way. If, therefore, an excuse for not keeping his promise should come to his friend within a few days, she added, I shall know how to understand it. I shall then give over every expectation, every wish of his constancy. If he is satisfied with only regretting me when he might have obtained my affections in hand, I shall soon cease to regret him at all. She's always trying to talk herself out of caring. Now that she likes him, she's always trying to talk herself out of it. Siddharth from the movie. Yeah. Oh, did you finally watch the whole thing? We didn't finish watching it as the telewatch party. But she is a snoot, isn't she? She's the old English teacher that I was terrified of becoming and why I quit teaching before I got too old, because I just didn't want to be that I'm better than you snooty old lady that shakes her head and looks over her glasses at you. You're not good enough. You're just not good enough. I was terrified of becoming that teacher. So that's why I quit last year. But I miss the classroom so much. The surprise of the rest of the family on hearing who their visitor had been was very great, but they obligingly satisfied it with the same kind of supposition which had appeased Mrs. Bennet's curiosity, and Elizabeth was spared from much teasing on the subject. The next morning, as she was going downstairs, she was met by her father, who came out of his library with a letter in his hand. "Lizzie," said he, "I was going to look for you. Come into my room." Muniba, likewise, what? I lose track of what I've said, so then I don't remember what you guys are answering to. Oh, that you didn't like Lady Catherine de Bourgh? Did you see the movie, or was it strictly from the book? Daddy wants to see her. She followed him thither, my favorite British word, and her curiosity to know what he had to tell her was heightened by the supposition of its being in some manner connected with the letter he held. It suddenly struck her that it might be from Lady Catherine. And she anticipated with dismay all the consequent explanations. She followed her father to the fireplace, and they both sat down. He then said, "I've received a letter this morning that has astonished me exceedingly. As it principally concerns yourself, you ought to know its contents. I did not know before that I had two daughters on the brink of matrimony. Let me congratulate you on a very important conquest." So I'm going to pause here and read what everybody's saying. She's fine in the book, to be honest. Do you think so, Siddharth? I mean, I think did you see the last chapter, or did you read the last chapter where she comes in and she's like, "You can't marry my nephew because I've decided he's going to marry my daughter." I don't think that's so fine. Seen it on Netflix, yeah, and there are several good versions: the BBC version and the 2016, I think it was, version, and there's an old one from the 90s that I love. But yeah, in the movie, she is that lady, that snooty lady. So what do you think Dad is referring to? The color now rushed into Elizabeth's cheeks in the instantaneous conviction of its being a letter from the nephew instead of the aunt, and she was undetermined whether most to be pleased that he explained himself at all, or offended that this letter was not rather addressed to herself, when her father continued, "You look conscious. Young ladies have great penetration in such matters as these, but I think I may defy even your sagacity. It's wisdom, but I never know how to say it. It's Sagacity. I need to look it up to see the pronunciation. Ava, what a nice thing. Thank you. What book have you read with me? To discover the name of your admirer. This letter is from Mr. Collins. From Mr. Collins? What can he have to say? For those of you who forget, Mr. Collins is the first one that asked Elizabeth to marry. I mean, he asked Elizabeth first to marry him, but then he went on and married Charlotte Lucas. So what is he writing about? Sagacity. Thank you, Kelly. See, that's why I miss you when you're not here, because you always have my back for those kinds of things. Is the emphasis on gosh, sagacity? Kite Runner. Ava, have you read A Thousand Splendid Suns? If you liked that one, you should read A Thousand Splendid Suns, because I like it better than Kite Runner. And by the name Ava, I'm assuming you're female, and not to make gender stereotypes. I just think A Thousand Splendid Suns was designed for women to read. Yeah. But light on G's. Sagacity. I don't know. To the Lighthouse. We always get new, but hi, Ace. I love Virginia Woolf, but I haven't read that one. His books are awesome. I know you said light, but I knew what that meant, but I don't know how to do sagacity. Oh, sagacity, like that light, that way. Got it. So more like a J. Thank you. Oh, Sid, isn't that interesting? I find Virginia Woolf's style, I mean, she does do that stream of consciousness. So in that sense, but I found her very readable. Like, she was one of those books I picked up and couldn't put down. But I was reading Mrs. Dalloway, Mrs. Dalloway, I think. I'm so bad at remembering things. All right, so let's get back to seeing what Mr. Collins is up to. Something very much to the purpose, of course. He begins with congratulations on the approaching nuptials of my eldest daughter, of which it seems he's been told by some of the good-natured gossiping Lucases. I shall not sport with your impatience by reading what he says on that. What relates to yourself is as follows. Now it's in quotes. Can you recommend Virginia Woolf Classic? Well, that's Mrs. I think, Kelly, if you're there, help me. It's Mrs. Dalloway, just Mrs. Dalloway, isn't it? Or a day in Mrs. It's the day of the life of this one, Mrs. Dalloway. Thank you, Siddharth. Yeah, that's the one I really loved. I don't know if you would call it a classic, but Maniba, I'm not sure if you're asking me, do I recommend one of her? Can I recommend one of her classics, or do I consider her a classic? But I would say Mrs. Dalloway. Siddharth, give your talk for The Lighthouse. Ace, give your support of The Lighthouse. I haven't read it, so maybe it's better. Acidify, hi. So what do you think Mr. Collins is up to? So here's the part in quotes. Having thus offered you the sincere congratulations of Mrs. Collins and myself on this happy event, that of Jane, let me now add a short hint on the subject of another, of which we have been advertised by the same authority. Your daughter Elizabeth, it is presumed, will not long bear the name of Bennet, after her elder sister has resigned it, and the chosen partner of her fate may be reasonably looked up to as one of the most illustrious personages in this land. Can you possibly guess, Lizzie, who is meant by this? This, he continues, this young gentleman is blessed in a peculiar way with everything the heart of a mortal can most desire: splendid property, noble kindred, and extensive patronage. Yet, in spite of all these temptations, let me warn my cousin Elizabeth and yourself of what evils you may incur by a precipitate closure with this gentleman's proposals, which, of course, you will be inclined to take immediate advantage of. Have you any idea, Lizzie, who this gentleman is? But now it comes out. And Siddharth said he hadn't read it. Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf? Google that, because I don't know. Hey, Siri. Who's the author of Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf?
Edward Albee wrote Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf.
Edward Albee. Can you see it, or is it backwards? Edward Albee. And I've always heard about it. It helped with SAT reading practice. That's a good idea, Siddharth, to read in like excerpts of things. That's a really good idea. So if I'm anticipating, he got the same warning from Lady Catherine, the same, how dare her, I'll destroy her threats and all that Lady Catherine gave to Elizabeth. And so now Mr. Collins, being the ever busybody that he is, has come in to say, be careful, watch out, you better step back. My motive for cautioning you is as follows. We have reason to imagine that his aunt, Lady Catherine de Bourgh, does not look on the match with a friendly eye. Mr. Darcy, you see, is the man. Now, Lizzie, I think I have surprised you. Could he or the Lucases have pitched on any man within the circle of the acquaintance whose name would have given the lie more effectually to what they related? Mr. Darcy, who never looks at any woman but to see a blemish, and he probably never looked at you in his life. It is admirable. That kind of hurt. Dad's like, he would not have looked at you, Elizabeth. Elizabeth tried to join in her father's pleasantry, but could only force one most reluctant smile. Never had his wit been directed in a manner so little agreeable to her. Are you not diverted? Isn't it funny, Elizabeth? Isn't this a crazy idea? Oh, yes. Pray, read on. After mentioning the likelihood of this marriage to her ladyship last night, she immediately, with her usual condescension, expressed what she felt on the occasion. When it became apparent that on the score of some family objections on the part of my cousin, she would never give her consent to what she termed so disgraceful a match, I thought it my duty to give the speediest intelligence of this to my cousin, that she and her noble admirer may be aware of what they are about and not run hastily into a marriage which has not been properly sanctioned. Mr. Collins, moreover, adds, I'm truly rejoiced that my cousin Lydia's sad business has been so well hushed up. That was Lydia who ran away, excuse me, that ran away with Wickham. I almost forgot his name. Chaz says, I'm reading a separate piece right now, and I just came to read chapter 9. Yay. Glad I could catch you live to thank you. Well, that is, guys, I cannot tell you, as a former high school teacher, I know that kids never think to thank their teachers because they rarely thanked me when I was a teacher. So for you to stop and come over here and join the live and type out all of that message means a lot to me, Chaz. Thank you so much. Sid, did you really already finish Crime and Punishment? Dude, invisible hat off to you. I've lost my place. I've lost my place. I must not, however, neglect the duties of my station or refrain from declaring my amazement at hearing that you received the young couple into your house as soon as they were married. It was an encouragement of vice, and had I been the rector of Longbourn, I should have very strenuously opposed it. Like, there's that, better than prejudice position. They ran off. I mean, why not be, oh, good job, you got married. You didn't just run off in your sin if they see it as sin. So, he's being that judger again. And remember, I'm a bit of a hypocrite because I was like shocked that Miss Bennet so quickly got over the fact that Lydia ran away. And I realized I was being as bad of a judger as anybody else. Sid, you'll have to talk to me about it in Discord because I know it's going to take me forever to get through, but that's Dostoevsky, right? I can't say that name, but yeah. Really? My son just finished reading a lot of Proust or Proust. I've never been sure. And he loved it. He loved it. And I think that's hard to read too. Sid, I'm really proud of you. That's got to help you with getting ready for SAT. So he's, going through his little judgment of they were not good. I wouldn't have. That is his notion of Christian forgiveness. The rest of his letter is only about his dear Charlotte situation and his expectation of a young olive branch. But Lizzie, you look as if you did enjoy it. You are not going to be missish, I hope, and pretend to be affronted at an idle report. For what do we live but to make sport of our neighbors and laugh at them in our turn? Oh, Dad. Oh, cried Elizabeth, I'm excessively diverted, but it is so strange. Yes, that is what makes it amusing. Had they fixed on any other man, it would have been nothing but his perfect indifference and your pointed dislike made it so delightfully absurd. Much as I abominate writing, I could not give up Mr. Collins's correspondence for any consideration. Nay, when I read a letter of his, I cannot help giving him the preference even over Wickham, much as I value the impudence and hypocrisy of my son-in-law. And pray, Lizzie, what said Lady Catherine about this report? Did she call to refuse her consent? To this question, his daughter replied only with a laugh. And as it had been asked without the least suspicion, she was not distressed by his repeating it. Elizabeth had never been more at a loss to make her feelings appear what they were not. It was necessary to laugh when she would have rather cried. Her father had most cruelly mortified her by what he said of Mr. Darcy's indifference, and she could do nothing but wonder at such a want of penetration or fear that perhaps, instead of his seeing too little, she might have fancied too much. Instead of him not noticing her, maybe she wanted him more than was suitable. All right, Sid, I'm finishing up, so bye and be well. Fareed, I don't know what your message was that you took away. Oh, look, 1, 2, 3 more chapters to go. So 3 more days. but I'm going to keep trying to get it done. So it is going to be this week for sure, unless, God forbid, I get sick or something happens. I'm trying to think what my schedule is this week, how heavy it is. It's probable I'll get it done. So, bye, Sid. For those of you that saw the link in the chat, or if you didn't, go back in the chat and find the link to Discord and come on over and join. We talk daily over there. For those of you that are in a class where the teacher's encouraging you to use one of my read-alongs, I am more than happy to come in and ask questions or have a discussion, lead a discussion. Give me a little time to set it up because I'm not great with technology. I think you guys have all figured that out by now if you've been with me very long. And if you haven't subscribed already, do that. I see you. And you come to Discord, but I'm not going to say your name because you haven't said anything yet. So, but it's the name I always say wrong. And then you always have to correct me. And then I always say, correct me every time. And then I still don't remember how to say it right. So I'm not going to say it. But hi to you. I see you. I see you. If school, it's another semester to go. So I hope there's some talk that we're not going to. Yeah, there you are. Muniba, thank you. I know it's late at night for you, and I always appreciate when you stay up with me. But if I use my very soft voice, maybe I'll lull you off to sleep, and you sleep with the angels. No, that means you're dead. Don't sleep with the angels. Dream. I'm in a silly mood today. Can you tell? I had a hard work day, and I think when I have those kind of where I have to really focus and be serious at work, then I have to let off the steam when I get home later. I hope your school year is going well. If you have not subscribed, I appreciate it because we're just smidgens away from 11,000. When people find out I have a YouTube channel, I'm embarrassed when I say 11,000 because I know in the big scheme of things, it's not very much. But I'm shocked and astounded that we have 11,000 because I would have never, I remember asking to try to get to 100 and never imagining this many kids or people or readers from this many places around the world would join us. While reading Frankenstein. Good. See, I think that could be my second purpose is to be like a hypnotist and put y'all to sleep. So I'll use my quiet, gentle voice. Something is in my eye and making me crazy. I will use my quiet, gentle voice as I tell you all to unwind for the day. We talk about well-being in Discord. So, and I post a daily, I haven't posted one today, a daily challenge of like a prompt. And there are these little cards that I have that get you to journal. And it helps you to process whatever you're thinking about or worrying about, that sort of thing. Click my picture, and then you can subscribe. Click the bell so you know when I come on live, because as I tell everybody, I don't even know when I'm going to read live. I'm not scheduled. I'm not disciplined. So it's just when I'm in the mood for it, and I was tonight. So I hope you guys have a great evening. I hope you stay warm. I hope you stay healthy. Frankenstein was a really good book, though. You're right. And I will read to you next time. See ya. Manib, I'm back due to work next week. Oh, try to catch up with your fabulous. Good. I look forward to it. And you take care of yourself. See ya, Fareed. See you on Discord. Bye.